Hello everyone and welcome. I'm your host, Joseph J. McAllister, welcoming you to another exciting edition of Midnight at the Cemetery, the show that delves into mysteries, UFOs, poltergeists, vampires, serial killers, psychic phenomenon, macabre history, and more. Tonight we're broadcasting live from Lake Elsinore Naval Academy, where we have beautiful lakeside views of boats and jet skis gliding across the water. So sit back and relax, dim the lanterns, put the horses in the stable, and make yourself a hot cup of apple cider, for we are going on a strange and delightful journey into the supernatural. The Case of the Olive Grove Zombie. To set the scene, from 1848 through 1855, California was struck by gold fever. Pioneers rushed to California hoping to strike it rich by mining gold. This left the hills of California spotted with boom towns. In 1865, Californians were returning from the South where they fought the Civil War. In 1868, just a few years after the war, Joshua Banner, a former corporal in the Confederate Army, had amassed a large savings and moved his entire family to Lake Elsinore, California, with the promise of a new life on the horizon. Him and his family prospered for another 15 years. In the fall of 1883, Joshua Banner succumbed to what at the time was known by various names: phthisis, scrofula, the King's Touch, the White Plague, Men of Death, and most commonly called consumption, due to the weight loss associated with the disease. It was commonly associated with vampires, in which it was believed that the deceased victims were coming back from the dead and consuming the life energy of the surviving relatives by drinking their blood. In modern times, the disease is known as tuberculosis, TB, Mycobacterium tuberculosis bacteria, or MBT. At the end of Joshua Banner's funeral, Joshua's sister, Miss Elizabeth Banner, remained, as the rest of the funeral party traveled a few hundred yards up the road, leaving Elizabeth alone at the gravesite. Suddenly, mourners heard screaming. According to witnesses, the body of Josiah Banner, rotting and terrible, had sprung up from the freshly disturbed earth and was now chasing his sister. By the time the mourning party got back to the area, both the corpse and Miss Elizabeth were gone. The only trace of them was a trail of blood, which led nowhere, and several muddy footprints. Up the mountain, a little ways from the site, the mourners found a section of trampled fence and more blood. Neither Josiah or Miss Elizabeth Banner were ever seen again. This incident has left a bloody imprint on the present, which haunts this area to this day. On occasion, people still run into Elizabeth Banner as they travel through the old olive groves. By most accounts, onlookers are greeted by the shocking surprise of seeing Elizabeth's ghost running full tilt away from something, her face contorted in horror as she looks back over her shoulder, silently screaming. Witnesses describe her face as being covered in lacerations. One witness had the extreme displeasure of seeing her pass by up close, and said she had barbed wire wrapped around her face. Tune in to our next episode where we talk more about the history and the paranormal activity of Lake Elsinore. I'd like to give thanks to Summer at Hallows Eve Haunted House for unearthing this disturbing story. This episode was created with information from Backpackerverse and their contributors. Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Midnight at the Cemetery. And remember to hit that subscribe button so we know we're not preaching to an empty burial ground. Until next time, this is your host, Joseph J. McAllister, reminding you, try to enjoy the light. Music featured on today's show is Dance of the U-Boats by Akash Gandhi and Bellissimo by Doug Maxwell.